Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on my lucky number 8 of Dungeon Meshi, aka Delicious in Dungeon. I'm excited! So last episode was absolutely wonderful. I freaking loved last episode. It was my favorite so far, with the Kelpie and with Sinshi, as well as Marcille kind of working together, and then Laios and Chilchuk working together, and all the world building and all the lore, all of it. It was just chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. And so I decided, I was like, do I want to wait a full week to watch episode 8? And the answer was no. I do not want to wait a full week. Now, granted, my brother is still having a lot of stuff that he's doing, a lot of overtime with work and things like that. So I figured I could at least go ahead, watch episode 8. We'll see if there's anything worth making food-wise. And then I might watch episode 9 and just wait and do one big cooking segment and split it in half and do it with him for episodes 8 and 9. We'll see. I know that I've asked for some questions on Patreon for episodes 7 and 8 that will be used in the cooking segment. So we'll just wait and see. We'll just wait and see what we get, right? The cooking segment is all extra stuff. And I've had some people ask in the Discord, they were like, hey, can you do this and this? And I want to say the cooking stuff is just extra fun that my brother and I or myself are doing. It's just for funsies. I'm not trying to be serious. I'm not one of those YouTube channels that's like professionally making the dishes from the show. I'm just doing some extra stuff for fun because I think you all might find it amusing to watch someone that is not a professional cook and not really a cook at all try to do some of these dishes. So just please trust, please. There's actually, it doesn't look like it, but there is a lot of planning that goes into the cooking segments, like when I can do it, when I can get the materials, when my brother can be available to help, and if he's not, then how do I do it? And I take a lot of things into consideration. I am an extremely organized person, despite what it looks like in the kitchen. So I do take a lot of things into account. So I've got things planned out, and I will have things planned out. Y'all just gotta trust and have patience with me as far as that goes. But anyway, I do have that damn pumpkin soup. I can make that pumpkin soup if we ain't got nothing else to do. I know the recipe and can make it. So we'll just wait on that and see what we get after this episode. But yeah, so as far as where we're going, I don't know about Kabru and his crew. They've been saved multiple times now. I feel like they're going to have some kind of weird vendetta against Laios and his crew for no reason. But other than the coincidence has created it. But we'll just see how that goes, right? So 8's my lucky number, though, and I'm really excited to see what this series gives us. Now, normally, I do the rule of 8, but that's usually if a series is only like 12 to 14 episodes. This is a 24-episode season, so I don't think the rule of 8 will apply, but since 8's my lucky number, it may still be a fun episode regardless. So, with that being said, before we start, I want to give a special shout out over to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon. Y'all, I don't monetize my videos as of right now through YouTube. I don't really plan on monetizing them through YouTube because that's a lot of extra tax work and stuff that I'm not a math major. I'm an English major, so no. I try to keep it as simple as possible. So Patreon funds my entire channel. I don't do ads on YouTube. I don't do sponsorships, anything like that. I don't think any food companies would want to sponsor me. They'd be like, oh, we don't want her doing this. So I get all of my funds from Patreon. So even though I am super, super excited and grateful if you subscribe to me on YouTube, like the video and comment and all that, I'm super grateful. Thank you so much. I want to give a special shout out to those on Patreon who support me because you all keep me doing this and help me get the equipment, like the thing I'm going to use to make that damn pumpkin soup at some point that I had to buy. You all help fund that. So thank you so much. And our philanthropy tier over on Patreon, they get a special shout out because they help me extra each month with some extra donations, and I really appreciate it. So to Alex Cornejo, to Anime Annie, to Be Happy, to Bryant Reed, to Dana, to Damage3245, to Destiny Marie, to Danger Zone, to Danny Donmai, to Devorin, as well as Eric, Ichu, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, El Freya, Liam Poles, Lyndon, Matthew Palfinier, Murphew, Moroni W, Nago, Nicholas, Sunspots, Shimoyama, Trails, Translucent Men, and Starman AA. Thank you all so much for all of your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. Yeah, could you imagine like some sponsorship? It's like I've seen a bunch of YouTubers that make their own food, and I follow Ro, that one woman. She's like done so many cooking videos. I'm always attracted to shows like Dungeon Meshi and like cooking shows like Great British Bake Off because I'm not good at cooking, and so I'm always in awe of what they do. And I'm like, this seems so simple. How do you all make this look so professional and so good? And I'm a big foodie, so I love being treated to good food. So I always feel like I'm so enamored watching their videos, but those YouTubers that have like their own food deals, like could you imagine? Romania's ramen. It might work with water. But anyway, we'll just have to wait and see. So we're not going to waste any more time though. We are going to dive into this episode. Watch somebody make like Romania's ramen. I'm like, no, I'm not even a ramen person. So that would be like the worst advertising ever. That would just be almost false advertising. Like, she doesn't even eat her own food. No, correct. So anyway, I'm going to get our system pulled up here real quick and do that. And plug this sucker in and see what we get. All right, there we go. And we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive in to episode 8 of Delicious in Dungeon. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's go. Now, they did have a note saying that there is some sensitive light and strobe-like effects in this episode. So if you're somebody that's affected by that, you might not want to watch. You might want to be careful of that. Yeah, some scenes have a strobing effect that may affect photosensitive viewers. Could you imagine, like, way back, I remember I used to watch the Pokemon VHSs, and I was the prime age for Pokemon. I turned 10 right when Red and Blue came out in the US. Prime audience. And I remember watching the TV show, and I remember the Vaporeon episode. I remember when that sucker came out, and then it suddenly disappeared like that, and I was like, where'd the Vaporeon episode go? Or not the Vaporeon, the Porygon. Oh my god, Porygon episode. The Porygon episode had a lot of like strobe lights and flashing lights, and apparently because they didn't tell viewers about it, it was just like banned. If I didn't watch it on TV, did it make it to the US? If I didn't watch it on TV when it came out, then I definitely saw it through the zeitgeist, because back then the internet was just starting to form, and so you could find like little clips, or you could find like little things about it. So I remember seeing it. I don't know if it was like on a little movie maker, or I wish I could tell you all, but I know I saw the Porygon episode, or parts of it. It might have been like on a very grainy share that somebody had, like a file, and being like, what is this? But I remember it. Maybe my memory is just a complete fraud, because now I'm questioning everything. Did I? Did I not? Anyway, enough about Pokemon. Oh, Marcille, what's up? Oh. It's through the armor, girl! Yes! Check his pulse. Ugh. Oh, Marcille. Oh my god, I can't imagine. Oh. Right. Right. So we gotta not let that happen. Right. And there's the party. Hmm. Hmm. The design of the dungeon. Oh, how long is a long time ago? Uh. Oh, from the graduate school. In the school's history. Oh. The court mage. Oh. Her hair was a lot shorter then. Your parent used to be one, like only one? Aw. And they're instantly intimidated by her. Oh, Laios would be all down for this spirit breeding experiment. Interesting. Oh, they're like little witches! How very berserk! Oh. Oh. Oh, so then they multiply. Oh. Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool. Wow, they're like little jars of stars. Oh. Yeah, what's up? Oh. No wonder her and Senshi would get along great. They're both in protecting the dungeon. Oh, yeah, right? That callback, yes. Oh, they're all totally crushing on Marcille. This school for exceptional girls. Oh, there's Falin. Oh no, oh no. Oh, and she's so short there. There's a growing a plant in there. Oh. 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 Oh no. Oh no, not the ship of the star A plus student and the delinquent or lagging student. Not that ship. No, that trope. That's mold. Oh. Oh shit. Oh wow. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Oh my god. My garden? Oh. She went in a real dungeon. Oh my god! Oh my god, no, the squeaky clean Marcille. Oh, what is this, Neon Genesis? Oh, hey, how you doing? The View. Oh. Oh. Oh my god, yes, please, the squeaky clean star A plus student and the girl that's down to earth that knows and lives off the land. Oh. It's a raspberry. It ain't gonna hurt you. It's not mysterious, it's a raspberry. But she's like looking after her because she thinks that she's so naive, but no, girl's got some street smarts. Ooh. And she's so fearless. Oh, she's fearless. Oh my God, she's so sweet. No, Falin is amazing. Shut up. And with her eyes closed all the time. Shut the frick up. The long hair, short hair dynamic. You all are just begging me to ship these two. You're not even joking at this point. Wow. Uh-huh. Oh. Oh no. But she's just being creative. She's like a woodsy, like hippie arty girl. What's she doing? Oh, girl. Oh. Oh shit. Oh. Oh, and Fallon won't let you do that. Oh. Oh, yeah. Man, no. Oh. It's the ecosystem. Oh man. Fallen and Sinchi would be besties. Oh. Oh. Probably the grasshoppers. Hmm. Oh, wow. I love this transition, this like subversion from the elves knowing everything. Hmm. Oh. Oh, Fallen. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, chill check. You're crazy. Wow. Hmm. Correct. Oh. That's none of your business. Oh. Oh, full of worry. Oh. Oh. Oh, come on now. I mean. Oh. Shit. Okay. He is literally a golden retriever. Oh. Oh. Okay. Ooh, okay. Oh my God, that's gonna be here soon. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh my God, that's gonna be here like in a few episodes, probably. Uh, uh, uh. Hmm. Illusion magic! Ah! Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh. Oh shit, so that was it. Hmm. I like how respectful they are of her, though. They're like, what? Hmm. Oh. What we doing? Oh, hell, what? What? Oh, hell no! An Undine? Oh no, shit! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god! Oh shit! Oh no! Oh shit! Oh no! Do something on your own! Oh my god! Why? Uh, uh, oh my god. Oh! Oh shit! Oh no! Oh, oh! Oh my god. Oh! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh. Oh, oh shit. Oh my god. And she's their mage. They can they not use resurrection magic if she dies? Oh my god. Oh. 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 Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Get him. Get him. Ah. Oh. Oh shit. Oh my god. Oh. Oh no. Oh. Yeah. Shit. Okay. I mean, what choice do you have? Huh. That's true. They might be hungry. Oh. Blood, right? A barbecue! No! Oh my god! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Kelpie grilled meat. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, he made his little backpack into a chair for her and a bib with a bib. Oh, nice. Oh, the onions and that. Yes, please. Oh, hi. Okay. Why is he eating first? Is he going to do a blood transfusion to her? Uh. They're having like a damn Brazilian steakhouse over here. Oh. It's like Slowpoke Tail speaking of Pokemon. More liver for you. Oh. Ah! Oh no. Oh my god. Uh. What? Is it her from the party? It looked like the girl from the party. Oh, okay. It's her from the party. Okay. All right. Oh, do we get any like end of credit scenes? Probably not. Okay, well that'll be interesting with the dwarf girl back. Okay. Is she with the samurai or is she in a different party entirely? Okay. Oh my god, Falin and yeah, her. Hmm. Falin and Marcille, shut up. Oh my god. Uh-huh. But she got super tall, right? So she knew Marcille when she was like a little kid, and then she grew up with Laios. Interesting. Huh. And yeah, there's all the lions with the wings. Aww. Interesting. Okay. Well, how about that? Well, what an episode. Oh my gosh. Oh, the rule of 8 has not let us down. And I took a break between recording this reaction. I had received a phone call from my family being like, hey, we're going to have dinner if you want to come over. And I was like, perfect timing. So I was like, I just ended the reaction. So I was sitting over there with them and I was like, I just watched an episode. I was telling my brother, I was like, I just watched episode 8 of Delicious in Dungeon, and they were grilling meat, and then they were having like onions with it. It looked like they were having like onions to eat as vegetables with it and all of this. And I was telling him about the Kelpie episode. And I was like, I really think that it'd be cool if I did like grilling the meat and like grilled meat and onions and had raspberries with them. We could do that for the meal for this episode. I'm like, but I kind of wanted to try something different with the meat than I normally had done. And I was like, what if I did like liver? I've never really had liver before. I've had chicken gizzard before, but that was like deep fried and wasn't exactly, you know, it was deep fried to the point where it might as well have been a chicken tender. So I was like, I really would kind of like to make some beef liver and stuff, but I was like, I wish we had some beef liver left. And my parents were like, well, we just had a steer processed and we have a good solid pound of beef livers that you are welcome to have. And I was like, yes. So being on a family farm pays off. So we're going to actually later on in this video do some grilled beef liver and do that onions and some raspberries. And you all, I've not had beef liver before, but we're going to do a recipe and we're going to try it out and do it the Cincy style. I don't know if it'll be as barbecued as them, but we're going to give it a go. So that's really exciting. So yes, we will be able to cook this episode. Yay! We'll save the pumpkin soup for another day. But okay, so this episode was halfway about, it was mainly a Marcille episode, which was really interesting. It was a Marcille episode. I probably should have brought Whiteboard Coon out, but we'll save him. We'll let him have a rest this episode. But the humor in this episode was so funny. Like with her being like, I don't know if there's a heartbeat. It reminded me of Scuttle in The Little Mermaid when he puts Prince Eric's foot up to his ears and he's like, I can't feel a heartbeat. And it's like, I love that Chilchuck is the absolute straight man that's just like, are you serious? Like, you can't hear the heartbeat through the armor. But good to know that all Laios had was food poisoning. Was not nearly as serious of an injury as Marcille being shot through the shoulder and through the leg, which I don't really necessarily want an answer to this question. I know some people in the comments will be like, here's your answer. So please hold off, but I'm kind of curious as a reader, and so I'm just thinking out loud. As a viewer thinking out loud, the healing spells, Laios makes a note saying that he wished he would have paid attention to Falin when she talked about the healing spells. So it's not necessarily that you have to be a mage to use healing magic. You just have to know the spells. Kind of like when Marcille used the water walking spell on everybody. Everyone could use it, but she had to be the one to cast it. So to me, that seems like if you know how to use magic, well, you'd mainly be a mage if you knew how to do that. But anybody can know a healing spell. Like, it sounded like Laios wanted to like heal her wounds to help her recover faster, but he couldn't remember any spells. And Chilchuck and Cincy, it's interesting world building, and honestly, it is very smart of the writer to kind of build in these limitations. So, like Cincy, for example, does not like magic, does not like using magic, so it is very much in character and in the story for Cincy to not know any magic spells. So he's kind of useless as far as this comes. And then Chilchuck is a thief. He knows how to pickpocket and pick locks and things like that, but he's not very ingrained in magic because that's not his skill set. And it also makes sense for Chilchuck's character. He's the type of character that if it's not something he's going to need to use, and if it's not a skill set that will benefit him, then he doesn't see the value in learning it. So he's not just learning healing spells for funsies because he doesn't think that's going to be necessary. And then Laios, our big giant golden retriever, his sister said so herself, he couldn't remember any of the spells and didn't learn any from his sister. So I get that. Anybody can learn a healing spell, which would have been handy, except here we are. Now, maybe the dwarf woman that looks like she's going to meet them next episode, maybe she knows a magic healing spell. Maybe she's versed in it. That'd be great. But I could also see where she wouldn't. So it'll just kind of depend on what ends up happening in the episode. But my theory for the day is the resurrection spell limited to just a mage knowing it? Or can anybody learn a resurrection spell? I'm kind of torn half and half. The one part of me is like, well, the benefit of having a mage is someone that specializes in magic, aka resurrection spells, and your high level magic that you need to know, like the water walking spell, etc., etc. So half of me is like, no, if they lose Marcille, they're screwed. And then the other half of me is like, well, but weren't those guys talking about getting a resurrection spell when they found Kabru in them? So I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening in the episode as we go. But I like that Marcille talks about the circle of life. So she talks about how we have the parasite, and then the parasite getting involved with the party eating, the parasite eats on the body of the people of the people eat on the body of the squid eats on the kelpie and the fishman, but then the parasites are involved in it, and the fishman and kelpie eat on the swordfish and the slime, and it's just this full circle moment. It's kind of like this evolution circle of life thing. They're maintaining the balance of the ecosystem. But she says that if we don't keep things at a manageable level underground, the monsters will go above ground, and that could be a big problem. So it's kind of like that's why the town hires adventurers to hunt down the monsters, and then there we go. It's designed for that particular reason. Like Chilchick's like, what are you talking about? So yeah, there is an ecosystem to it. And Marcille brings up the fact that the mage, whoever designed this dungeon, is, she says insane, but is insanely clever. So yeah, she's like, part of Marcelle's dream was to make her own like sustainable dungeon and like ecosystem, which is kind of cool because it kind of ties her to Cinchi a little bit, which we had last episode, which is fun. But she makes note that whoever designed the dungeon and made that ecosystem through it is like her on steroids, or is what she aspires to be, which is interesting. So we get the flashback. Now, I mentioned Berserk in the reaction, so real quick, some Berserk spoilers. I'm going to tag them up here. I'll get rid of them here a little bit, but Berserk manga spoilers. Okay, so all of these girls that are all the witches remind me of the fairy island in Berserk, where they're all the witches learning magic and all of this. And we see Shirk's fellow witches and warlocks all gathered around there. Yeah, it reminded me a lot of it. I could see the influence very well into Berserk spoilers. But yeah, so we have our crew. And Marcille, they talk about how she basically is, Marcille reminds me of Ramona Dratvilunder from the old Doctor Who from the 1970s, where they're like, she's a triple first, which I love Ramona. Ramona's like my favorite from Doctor Who. So she assisted the teacher on her first day, and she's like, oh, well, it was actually my 5th day that I did it. I like Marcelle's hairstyle changing. We don't know exactly how old Marcille is, but I would like to think she's still fairly young, despite being an elf. And she talks about how she wants to become a court mage because one of her parents used to be one, which is interesting. I'm like, Freerun descendant win? But she's like, I was asked to join the class, and I hope we can get along. And they're like, oh, okay. They're all enamored with Marcille, which is really funny. Also, the teacher kind of looks a little bit like an orc, which is fun. I like getting different species involved in this. So they make their own dungeons, their own dungeon containium, and have the jar between the soils, and they insert the spirits in them to try to make it like a little breeding container to let the spirits grow, which is really interesting. And then the magic should grow inside the jar as long as you did it properly within a week, which is cool, and you let them sit there. So I like the idea that all the girls are instantly enamored with Marcille. They ask like what her main, degree of studying is. And she's like, well, I'm researching summoning because it's interesting to me. But yes, I have studied other aspects of magic. And they're all like instantly enamored. But she makes the call back to episode 2, where she's like, she talks about how she wants to create a sustainable ecosystem within the dungeon. I want to create a safe dungeon. So for example, she's like, I'm focused on the ingredients of magic. She's like, for example, the way we currently gather mandrakes is quite dangerous. And we see the dog that gets killed and all of this. And it's like, yeah, that calls back to episode 2. So Marcille has known about some of this stuff for a while. She just, doesn't let it out the best way. She's like, but if I can design a safe dungeon and grow only beneficial monsters inside, then I could contribute to society. And everybody's like, oh, well, imagine this. Then Falin comes in and is so tiny. The only thing we don't know at this point is how old was Falin and how much did she grow? I mean, she grew a lot. She got taller than Marcille real quick, but she's this little short little girl. And I'm like, did her and Laios just go through a growth spurt together at the same time? Was she like 12 years old here? And then she was like a late bloomer and then suddenly grew 10 feet. Like, we don't know that exactly, but I am a sucker. I am a sucker for a motif of opposites attract in a romance. I am a sucker. And you have the pristine, prim, proper, always clean teacher's pet. That's Marcille, who, was the teacher's assistant within 5 days. And then you have Falin, who's this organic, earthy, hippie chick that's grown off the land with street smarts, but is secretly has all the talent to create all of this magic inside of her, and she doesn't know it. And it's like, I love it. I love the opposites attract. And I am fully on board with the Marcille and Falin, Yuri ship. Let this go. Let this ship sail. They could not be more obvious. It could not be more obvious. If somebody's like, they're just good friends, you are lying to yourself. At least maybe you could say that right now, but I mean, Marcille clearly develops a crush on Falin. Very clear. Them blushes weren't for nothing. And so, yeah, then they test out the spirits and hers just explodes. Falin and Laios have a tendency to kind of go above and beyond, And these two kids, they're definitely something. I'm very curious if Falin and Laios will be part of the, prophetic main character trope. Because right now we don't know a lot about Falin and Laios. We know they were both sent off. We know she wanted to become a mage and Laios is a warrior. We don't know their backstory. We don't know where they're from. Would I be surprised if the two of them were descended from the King Clegel and all that? No, I wouldn't, because they're blonde like him and kind of I don't know, have all this hidden talent. I won't be surprised if they're like the descendants, but distant descendants, and they don't find out till later. I wouldn't be surprised with that. That would be kind of cool. But they definitely have that the chosen one mentality to them, but we don't know hardly anything about them. So I'm very curious about their origins. And the fact that both of them just instantly are drawn and go into the dungeons. So yeah. But I love the idea of Marcille, transitioning from being this prim and proper student to learning from Falin and realizing that Falin is not as naive as she seems. She's innocent, but maybe not as naive. Now, when they're crawling through that crack to get to the secret cave, and we got Falin's booty in our face, all I could think of was there's a scene in Neon Genesis Evangelion, and if you know, you know. But that's all I could think of, and I was like, how about that? But yeah, they both end up here. I love the whimsical kind of innocence with Falin. She sees the grasshopper and the raspberries. They live off the land. They're not afraid. There's just something so heartwarming and innocent about the two of them that's really sweet. And I could see why people wouldn't understand Falin because she's so precocious, but I really love her character. I think I like Marcille a lot, but Falin is instantly one of my favorites. I'm like, what if Falin and Cinchi met? Because Falin's all about the preservation and sustainability of the dungeon, which is basically Cinchi's MO. So if they met, that would be amazing. But yeah, her offering her hand to Marcille, shut up, and leading her to the cave. And the thing is, Falin is all about saving the people inside the dungeon and saving the creatures in the ecosystem. And she doesn't let Marcille kill the slime because she's like, well, but the slime can't get to us in the sunlight. So just the slime has a purpose in the ecosystem. As long as we stay within their parameters and we respect that ecosystem, we can be a part of it as well. I'm like, Also, I felt bad when Marcille kind of like demeaned Fallon, being like, "Oh, well, you just lag and waste your time here writing letters and reading books." I'm like, "No, but Fallon, that's meaningful work to her. Don't degrade what she does. Don't degrade her. It's fine." But yeah, she's like, "This place seems pretty safe." But yeah, there is something about Fallon and Laios that's very naive and kind of odd, but in a fun and cool way. I love it. But yeah, I like the idea that Marcille learns from Fallon the importance of just being one with the ecosystem. It's sweet. I love it. And she's like, "Oh, thanks for bringing me here." She's like, all I had to do was study magic to improve." And she's like, "Oh, well, I'm Fallon, and what's your name?" And then she says, "Marcille, and I want to be friends with you." Oh, so freaking cute. So yeah, my favorite part is the transition where Chilchuck's like, "Oh, best in your class, huh?" Chilchuck's such a bitch. That was so mean. So mean. And she's like, "Well, excuse you." She's like, "I'll have you know, I was a top-notch student in school." She's like, "The dungeon is a mind-boggling place. If this lunatic magician really exists, then he's definitely far from being sane the way he's made this layout of the dungeon." She tells Cinchi it'd be best if he goes somewhere else to live, and I love Cinchi's reaction. He's like, "That's none of your business." Cinchi is so comedic. His comedic timing is perfect because his mouth doesn't even have to move. His eyes do all of the talking. And then Laios has to like break it up with this beautiful heartfelt moment saying that his sister was talking about Marcille, saying when she had just enrolled in magic school, she would send me letters and they were full of worry. And then we see Laios, and Laios was a pretty big kid even back then, but he seems like he was bigger than Fallon. And I don't know where Laios is and why he's there. His hand is bandaged, so I don't know if that means he was training with a sword or what that means. They're so mysterious, Laios and Fallon, and I want to know more about them. It seems like she was enjoying every day. Oh, and I love that. I love that he looks over to her and he's like, "She was always complimenting you." I'm like, "Laios, you being a wingman? You being a wingman for your sister?" And she's like, "Oh, well," Marcel's like, "Well, she was complimenting you too." Like, she tries to divert the attention so it doesn't seem as obvious that she's flirting with her. And then Laios is like, "Oh, well, did she now?" And then Marcel's like, "Yeah." She said, "What's your brother good at?" And he's like, "He's really good at imitating a dog." Fallon's in on the joke. I like Fallon a lot. She's in on the joke that we all know. But I'm like, yes, please. Oh my God. I love her already. And so then she's like, "If you're awake, we need to go." So this dragon, I mean, I feel like maybe we're going to stall a little bit from the dragon because now that Marcel's injured, we may have to backtrack just a hot second. But if that, former dwarf that was part of their team comes down to see them, maybe they'll try to recruit her into joining the team to face the dragon. Maybe since she can bribe her with food. Maybe. I don't want to be stereotypical and say that she'll instantly be all over, Cinchi because they're both dwarves. So I'm not going to say that. But I could see her being wooed by good food because they didn't have any of it when she was with their original party. So anyway, and they seem kind of hungry at the end. So maybe they might be bribed into joining their party to face the dragon. But I mean, the way that Chilchuck talks about it, they got 2 days till they're near that dragon. Now, I don't think we'll tackle that in 2 episodes, but in like 3 or 4, I mean, if this series has 2 OPs and it's like a 2-core series, then around episode 12 or 13, we could face the dragon, which would be cool. But then what happens after that is anybody's guess. So I don't know. But I think that's pretty cool, the idea that we're really super close. I'm glad they're not drawing it out and making us wait till the end of 24 episodes to find out about it, And they're like, well, the dragon typically moves, but it's not just going to be moving around for no reason. It'll move if we ambush it and it gets away, but otherwise, if we just take our time and get there, we should be fine. So this part was really interesting, where Marcille talks about how she's like, I want to wipe myself down, and since she and Chilchuck are like, okay. And they're like, well, do you want us to leave? And she's like, oh no, it's fine. And she boils the water and she's like, you can stay here. And they're both like, really? She's like, yeah, just don't look. She's like, it's okay. I don't have to take off my clothes to do it. I feel like this is a really interesting scene because it's very simple. She's like, I wish I had studied illusion magic so I could just, have the illusion that she was a guy, just one of the guys, and it would have been fine, and then she could have been, not embarrassing them. But she's like, it's easier. It was easier when half of us were girls. So when it was just Chilchuck, Laios, and the samurai as the three guys, and then there were the three girls, she's like, I could have just had them leave, and I could have, because I get why, Marcille doesn't want them all to split up because they could be in danger in the dungeon, but she's like, I'm the only girl now, so since she and Chilchuck are just sitting in the corner looking at the wall like, you done yet? And granted, I'm super glad they were respectful of her and her privacy, but she's like, it was a lot easier when we could work together. So she asks why the two of them are leaving, and they're like, well, and she's like, well, we don't know what happened to Falin. And they're like, well, we have to make a living too, so we can't just go looking for her. We got to go on. And that's fair. It's fair now that we know that a lot of people in Dungeon were just doing this for money. It makes sense why they left. But if they were so easily persuaded to leave by getting money, then I would imagine it would be pretty easy maybe to persuade them to stay if they offered them money and food back. So we'll see where that goes. But I do like how everything in this world is kind of just realistic. Like she's sitting there giving herself like a what do they call it? Like just a sponge bath, right? And just thinking about, she's like, thinking about it makes me upset that they just left us. I thought they were our friends. And then she like smacks the robe, and I love the Cinchi and Chilchuck are like, what's she doing over there? They're like, what's happening? Which, if she's mad about them leaving, then when the dwarf woman shows up next episode, although Marcelle's about half dead, so maybe she won't be able to respond negatively. So they wake Laios up, and she goes to turn the water out, dump it out, and then this Undine shows up. The Undine is absolutely terrifying. This thing that shoots a water laser, where was this the last episode? I guess because the squid was around, and they're like, you need fire. Like, this thing is terrifying, honestly. I think this is the scariest monster we've had in the series so far, and it's literally just an orb of water. It's an orb of water. That's all it is. But it's the most terrifying thing that we've seen so far in this series. And they're like, Marcelle, don't just stand there. And so, yeah, even though, here's the thing that's crazy, even though I know that she can resurrect others, there are still, I was wondering, like, how are they going to give stakes to this show with the knowledge that you can resurrect people? Well, if you have your mage get hurt and they can't help, then yeah, it's going to raise the stakes a little bit, and there's still a lot of tension that comes from it. Also, the animation kind of changes a little bit when she starts to fight the Undine, and it's really well done. Like, it has a lot of movement in it, but damn, poor her. That's not fair. Also, the blood and guts in this series makes me sad. I'm like, no. If Falin knew that you were hurting her friend, she'd probably not be happy. But yeah, and then she's like, what am I gonna do? And I love that Laios catches her, and then he about falls in, and then Cinchi and the others save both of them. That's such a good shot. Oh, poor Laios. And then they all make it back, and then Laios is like, well, if you can't beat him, run away. And that's what they have to do. Bless their hearts. Ugh. So then they were like, they stopped the bleeding, but she's low on magic and blood. So obviously the meat could help restore her iron, which could help her, get blood restored. Although it's not an instant, easy fix. It takes time for that to do it. But that doesn't change the problem about the magic portion. That doesn't help that factor either. I thought for a hot second that Laios was going to do a blood transfusion. I thought that instead of a cooking episode, they're going to be like, here's how Cinchi does a blood transfusion with Laios. But then, are their blood even compatible? We don't know. And Chilchuck says we can't continue on without a mage that can use magic. We can't use a mage out of magic, and we can't walk on water. And so Laios is like, well, maybe some adventurers will come around that have a mage, and we can just ask for their help. And then Chilchuck's like, well, if they come around, how we gonna bribe them? Because this dungeon's kind of, cutthroat. And Laios is like, well, maybe they'll be hungry. But Cinchi points out that, that's not actually a far-fetched thing for them to be hungry, because That's not a far-fetched situation. If you got some people that are hungry, they might want some food. And since she's a really good cook, and they're like, do you have liver from the Kelpie? And he's like, of course. The liver's rich in iron. And he's like, iron. And then they're like, a barbecue. I love for a hot second that I was like, oh, iron, blood. They're going to help Marcille. No, they're going to have a barbecue. But it inadvertently is to help Marcille. So yeah, it looks like in this that they had ribs. What do they have here? We got a little bit of the Kelpie. Sure thing. We got a little bit. We got mane, neck, liver, ribs, tail, round, loin, all the bits and pieces here. And then we have vegetables. So like the onions and cabbage and whatnot. Okay, yep. So it looks like cabbage, looks like onions, looks like some Kelpie. We can do that. We can make this work. This is doable. We can make this. But yeah. And so he's like, we prepared something nice for you. Poor Marcille, she's like at death's door. And they're like, look, we got some food for you. Also, I love that he made his backpack into a little chair for her. Laios is such a sweetie. Like, his sister would be proud of him. Look there. But yeah, they show them grilling the onions and the meat on there. And they're like, we'll give her the liver. And that'll get her some energy. And they're like, oh, I love that Marcille just looks so dead inside. Poor her. And they're like, well, we're going to eat all this meat up. You have some liver. And she's like, can I have anything else? And then they said, if only there was a meat that could replenish magic. And what they say there, they're like, if only there was a meat there. They're like, why did you stuff magic grass in a basilisk? That was the best choice. So then we see the dwarf woman walking up. Now it looks like there is, who's with her? It looks like there's somebody with a bow. So they have a bow and arrow. So I don't know if that, it doesn't look like a magic staff. It looks like a bow and arrow. And then there's someone else with them. So the thing about it is, I don't know if they will have a mage with them to help. That's the only thing that I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work out for them. I don't know. We shall see. But what a good episode. I was so glad we finally got to see some flashbacks with Marcille and Falin and got to learn a little bit about their meeting and their encounter. I feel like it's natural that we have that happen because we're getting closer to the dragon. And so establishing Marcille and Falin's relationship seems relatively important. But in any case, I'm super excited to see what's going to happen with our characters and where we're going to go to from here. So with that being the case, I'm super excited to know your questions that you'll have for this series. I know I put posts out. There's going to be a post that has been out for episodes 7 and 8, so I'll include that in the cooking video today. And then I'm excited for your comments down below. I'll definitely put a thing out for episodes 9 and 10 and to do questions for that. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited! So anyway, we have some liver and vegetables to fix up, and we're going to do that here in just a second. But if you're not sticking around for the cooking video, I'm going to look forward to seeing you all when we look at episode 9 of Dungeon Meshi. Now, let's go cook some food. Well, hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and don't I look festive? For today's video, we're actually going to be doing a recipe for the livers and onions that we made in this week's episode of Dungeon Meshi, and it looks deceptively easier than most things we've done for this channel, so I'm not sure how to feel about that. But we have a lot of things going on here, so I actually found this recipe online. I tried to find a recipe that was very simple and seemed foolproof, but also I want to try to do recipes that aren't super extravagant, because if you watch the show, you know that Senshi is pretty basic and like down to earth. Let's be as grassroots as we can with our recipes, and that's kind of the same way that I want to go to as well. They didn't have ice cream machines in Dungeon Meshi, so what I found was a recipe online. It looks super, super simple. Like I said in the reaction, my family raises cattle, and so we actually had beef livers on hand. I didn't have to go out and buy any, so good, and they were very happy to give them to me because none of them really liked beef livers, and they ended up with a lot from our last steer that we had processed. So, with that being said, I haven't decided exactly which pan I'm going to use. I have this really big one, and I feel like in the end I'm going to want to use the big pan, but then I'm like, do I cram it all into the smaller pan? I might just go ahead and use the big pan, and then if I have too much room and it all gets spread out too much, lesson will have been learned. But with that being said, our ingredients are pretty basic this week. We have half a cup of flour, just all-purpose flour. My brother will be so excited because for me, I would have used something like a substitute, maybe wheat flour or coconut flour or something like that, and he would have hated me. Because the last time, usually when I substitute ingredients, it's not a good thing. It doesn't turn out right. And I was like, I'm gonna follow the instructions as well as I can. So we have half a cup of all-purpose flour, the cheap stuff, as it would. Obviously we have salt. We're gonna need a little bit of salt. It calls for half a teaspoon of salt. Half a cup of all-purpose flour. It calls for 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. So we have just a little bit of that. I actually had to get this at the grocery store because I have minced garlic, but I did not have garlic powder that was ground. And it's gonna call for 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. It's not a lot of seasonings, and all of this is going to go into our flour to be kind of what we're going to actually roll the liver around in. Which I know since she didn't necessarily roll the liver around in anything, but we're gonna make some gravy with that, and it's gonna be pretty good. I'm hoping. I'm actually kind of excited about it. Then we obviously, this is not gonna go in the liver and onions, but I did get raspberries. Yay. They are a product of Mexico, so viva la raspberries. Or, you know, I'm not going to say them frambuesas because that's probably wrong. And I've just been made fun of for not being able to say raspberries in Spanish. Anyway, then we have a sweet onion. I was actually saving this sweet onion for the pumpkin soup, but since we're not at the pumpkin soup yet, we're going to be using it. We're going to be making onion rings out of this, which is exciting. Obviously, peeling off the onion is tedious and takes a little bit of time, so I went ahead and did that to get it out of the way, and I cut off each end of the onion, so it'll be ready to make onion rings out of. I found a video from Martha Stewart online of how to make onion rings, and I was like, oh, we're going to try it that way and see how it goes. So I'm pretty excited about that. Then what you need after that is you need 1 cup of water. 1 cup of water. Now, here's the thing. The recipe itself calls for a pound of beef liver. It's just my brother and I eating, and he literally told me today he was gonna go get a cheeseburger from a fast food restaurant because he's like, I don't know how liver is gonna taste, so I'm gonna go and be prepared. And I was like, ugh. So I went ahead and just got half a pound of beef liver. So I got half a pound of beef liver. It was vacuum sealed from where we processed it. I've been letting it thaw out the last day because it was frozen. It is bloody. So there's a lot of juices in this bag of livers. I would lift it up, but earlier it just started bleeding out like a vampiric bag, and I was like, it's like Twilight. But I'm gonna drain this. When my brother gets over here, I'm going to drain all of the blood out of this that is left. It's fresh. And then we've got half a pound of beef livers. Now, since it was half a pound, I didn't know if I should cut the flour in half and be 1/4 of a cup and cut the water down to half a cup of water. I was like, But mainly the flour and stuff is to create a gravy for the liver and onions. And I'm like, I'm not going to complain if there's a lot of gravy on this. So maybe we'll learn our lesson and it's too much gravy and we'll have to cut it down, but we're just going to do the half a pound of livers. We're going to coat them actually in the flour mix, and then we're going to put it down in this. Now, the only thing I don't have out here at the moment is butter. I also have some Irish butter that I'm going to be using that I used in a previous episode that I'm going to be using to coat. Not only, the recipe itself called for bacon grease, but I did not keep the bacon grease from our very first recipe because that was months ago. And I know it keeps, but there's just something about me keeping months and months of bacon grease in a little thing that I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. So maybe that would have been great in the long run if you have bacon grease. That's what they recommend. But they said you could use butter or margarine as well. And I have butter. I don't use a lot of butter when I cook, so we might as well just use it for this. So this sounds pretty good. I'm going to wait till my brother shows up, and then we're going to have ourselves some liver and onions a la Dungeon Meshi style. Okay, so my brother is here. Hey, Romania.
Yo.
And as you can see, we've got, they said 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter. That seems like a lot. So we put 2 tablespoons of Irish butter in here to kind of start us out. And what we're going to do next, what they say to do, is to put the flour in a shallow dish. You will be happy to know, brother, that I used all-purpose flour and not a substitute.
Good.
I thought you'd be like, yay! No, it was just the regular old white flour. So what we're going to do is do a 1/4 teaspoon of the garlic powder. This is probably not the best mode, but all right, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. That doesn't seem like a lot, but I guess they're assuming that it's going to be fine. Now, they did say 1/2 teaspoon of salt, so that's a little bit more so. And I make sure, yeah, it did say teaspoon in the recipe. All right, get that on there. Get that in there. And then 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, which is not very much. There is not a lot of season in this. So I'm assuming that they're wanting to let the flavors speak for themselves. Oh, well, actually, you know what? 1/4 teaspoon is a bit more than I thought. Okay, so we're gonna do that. And then I'm probably committing a cardinal sin, but we're gonna mix that around there. Get that. That's gonna be what we flour the livers with. You can see that I've taken the livers out of the package. They are livers. So if you want to know what a liver looks like, that's a beef liver. You know, sometimes you don't ask where the meat you're eating comes from, and there's a reason for that. You don't want to know the body part that it is. And I've never had livers before. I think I've had chicken gizzards, but that was a chicken. So, all right, I told everybody earlier, Broseph, that I went on Martha Stewart's YouTube channel and found how you do onion rings. So you cut off the outer layer, you peel off the outer layer, so I did that. You cut off each side, and then what she suggested was you take your knife and you cut a little chunk off the end, which seems weird, but it's to do that so that your onion doesn't roll anywhere. And I was like, oh, hack, life hack. I was like, that's so genius. I was like, how am I gonna cut this onion into rings? And that is so brilliant. It's just exactly like you think it is. So then, if you can get that, what you'll do next is she said you could slice them as thin or as thick as you want. If you're doing them for sandwiches, you slice them super thin. If you're doing them for onion rings, you make them a little bit thicker. So we're gonna get one out and then kind of make them a little bit thicker because they're going to be rings. And then they just kind of go like that, which this is a sweet onion. So I was going to use this for the pumpkin soup. I don't know if that makes a difference because these are forming, oh, they are forming rings. They don't look like it when you take it off. They look like, you're like, oh, is this a ring? But these are all going to fall apart. In the words of Shrek, onions have layers. People have layers. Ogres have layers. We both have layers. So, yeah.
Cakes have layers.
Cakes have layers too. I really have been on it. I've wanted to watch Shrek for the last several days. Shrek 2 is probably one of the best sequels ever created, if we're going to be honest. It's Shrek 2. My brother and I saw that when I was like barely in high school, and it changed my life. The Holding Out for a Hero song is still possibly one of the best songs from a movie I've ever heard. Anyway, we're almost done chopping this. We're going to make a couple that are a little bit thicker than usual to round this out. All right. Now that butter has gotten pretty cooked in there, so we have a lot of onion. So what we're going to do now, I wanted to get them done before we started this process, pull my hair back, is we're going to take these, and we're actually going to put them into the mix. It said to dredge. It says to dredge the liver in flour. What does dredge mean?
Like drag?
I guess drag it through until it's all coated, probably. Oh, you can't feel the texture on this, but it went from being slimy to feeling like...
Like it's a gummy worm?
Yes!
That's what it feels like when I'm making fried chicken.
Oh, it felt like a gummy worm! Oh, I don't know about... Oh, no.
Now, anytime you get those gummy worms, you're going to be reminded.
Beef liver! Actually, this is not as hard as you look. Because I drained the blood off, it's not as bad. Okay, and dredging them in the flour mixture. Now, I said that originally the recipe called for a pound of livers, but I was like, we're not going to eat a pound of livers. So what I might actually do is I might take some of this extra flour mix, if we have any extra, and maybe coat some of the onions with it, because it's be like an onion ring coating. Ooh, I'm going to take a little bit and put on that there. Soak that in there. All right, now these are the bigger pieces of liver, so this will actually probably take a bit. Ooh. Uh-oh. That's the problem with flour. Flour gets everywhere.
You probably needed a bigger bowl.
It said a shallow dish. It did not say a bowl. It said to do a shallow dish. Which
like
is,
a plate?
Well, no, it said a dish. It didn't say a plate. But I feel like the bigger ones are going to take up some more flour, so that'll help. Oh, and then this is gonna kind of make our gravy too. That texture of blood and flour mixed together. I feel like I'm on Vinland Saga. Oregon Trail, don't die of dysentery. All right. I don't know if I feel like I mixed it all up. So the garlic powder is in there, but it's a lot of flour. And okay, so we're gonna dredge that in there. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it says grease it and fry on both sides until brown. Okay, I'm gonna add, I feel like we need to add a little bit more flour. So it's gonna be like the gravy by the end. And I'll probably add a little bit more over the side of it when we get done with that. Okay, what should I flip these with?
A tong?
That would be a great idea. All right, I did slowly heat up our skillet because, as you know, skillets have not been my friend as of late. And we're gonna flip these over. Okay, flip them over. I probably should have put some more butter in that. We'll spread it around. All right, here we'll kind of mix it up a little bit. I think we could have gotten away with using the small pan, honestly, but it's okay. Let's fry these in here. Okay, so then it says to flip on both sides until brown. That one little piece there, it like mooned up.
Yeah.
Moon liver.
Yeah, you might want to take that one out and when you need to cut them open and see if they got done or not.
No, it didn't say to do that though. We're following the directions.
But when you're cooking meat, you gotta have a piece that you cut open so you know if it got cooked all the way through.
Well, it's gonna have to simmer for a little bit though, that's the thing. So what we're gonna do now says sprinkle the rings on top of the liver in the pan and add about a cup of water, which is what we're gonna do because we're gonna make the gravy with it. So what we're gonna do now is, I think we could add like a little wee bit more gravy or a little bit more flour because we're gonna put water over it. All right, now here we're going to take our onions and make some rings. So we're going to take these onions right here and we're going to add them over. Get some flour on this, lots of onions. Okay, and adding all these on here. We can get like the little scallopy ones. Maybe put those on the side. This is kind of cool, looks like a pig snout. Okay. This is it. They cut out really good, like the onion rings, but tearing them apart now is a little bit more difficult than I had anticipated. Okay. There's a lot of onion here. There is a lot of onion.
Well, put them in a baggie.
That's true. We could save the rest of it. I could take this flour mixture and make some onion, like legit onion rings, though.
Yeah.
Could. I could.
I think you're good on the onions.
I think we have plenty of onions, don't you?
As she adds more onion.
Hey, look.
Like a Subway employee. You say you're done with the onions, but they put like 3 or 4 more on. Sorry if you work in Subway.
Don't say sorry. All right, so next it says sprinkle the onion liver, and it says go cut down to a simmer, which we're going to cut down to the simmer on the heat. And then it says to cover and add about a cup of water. That is presumably going to make our lovely, ooh, yes, yes sir. That is going to make our lovely gravy with the livers, and we're going to let that cover and simmer for about 8 minutes. And then after that, we'll see what we got. I said maybe we could take the leftover onions and put them in the flour and just put butter in a skillet and fry them up, and my brother looked like it looked like I had suggested mass murder. Why is that?
They're onion rings. When you have them in batter, flour, whatever, you then put them in oil and you fry them like fried chicken.
My brother clearly knows things about cooking that I am not privy to, so we're not going to fry onion rings today. These two scavengers, ever since I opened the livers up, have been parading around my kitchen space waiting for me to give them the fresh livers. Hey, Huckleberry? Hey, Ruby? Also, side note, I went ahead and took the raspberries and just rinsed them off because if you get them straight from the grocery store, you want to rinse them off beforehand, but that's just little nitpicks. So let's see what our beef and liver looks like. Okay, it's been about 7 minutes, and so if I take the lid off, the steam comes out. You can see it. It smells beefy. So the onions are a little bit more like sauteed or broiled or however you want to say it, but it looks about done. So we're going to see how this all tastes. Okay, so you can kind of see the old beef livers there and onions. I was talking to my brother, and I think in hindsight, we should have put all of the flour into the pan to make the gravy thicker. I think that's what we should have done. But it looks cooked, so obviously a raspberry is a raspberry. These schnozberries taste like schnozberries. A raspberry's a raspberry. We're good to go. But we're gonna, I offered to take the moon-shaped one. So, I mean the onions. We were talking about this, and you can pretty much eat onions raw. Especially sweet onions. You can eat them suckers raw, but they're broiled. They're really good. Honestly, I should have put more of these little, tiny little bits here because they cooked up really, really well. All right. Now the question is, do I eat the moon one that looked like it shriveled up first, or do I eat the one that looks like it might have got done?
The moon one's probably cooked through more.
It's probably more well done, isn't it? Would you eat the more well done one first, or would you eat the one that's not well done first?
Well done first.
Really? What if it doesn't taste as good?
Well, then you'd compare it to the other one, but the well done one's the safer choice.
That's well done. Well, no food poisoning that we know of here.
Exactly.
I've never had liver before. It feels almost wrong.
Is it a meaty gummy worm?
Why'd you describe it that way? When you know you're eating an organ, it adds another dimension to it. Have I been kind to my liver? Have I?
I have. I don't drink.
I know. Okay, what if I ate it with the raspberry? There was a reason maybe they ate raspberries and the liver together in this episode. Maybe it was for a reason.
Now the raspberry just replaced the blood, didn't it?
I wasn't going to say it. It's okay. Top 10 sirloins and filet mignon. It is not. But maybe we need just a piece that's like different. Maybe we need a little piece that's different. Like one that's, well, that looks pretty cooked too. With the onions maybe. Maybe there's a reason they eat with the onions. I'm trying to describe it. It's not tough. It's not tender. It's not juicy. It's a meaty gummy worm. It's even kind of, this is weird to say it's sweet. Here's my thing. I'll cut you guys a piece off so you can see. Whenever you cut into a steak, you get like, when you cut into a steak, there's always like the muscling, and there's layers of muscle and meat, and there's what we call marbling, which is where you have fat mixed in, and that's how you know it's a good steak, if there's some fat mixed in the meat, muscle, and tissue, because that's what gives it its flavor. This is an organ, so it's not got any, there's no tissue, there's no marbling, there's no fat. It's literally, we cut out its liver and fried it.
It's like jerky.
But it's not even jerky, because even jerky has like a texture, and this doesn't have the texture. It's like if leather was moist. It's chewy, but not in like, it's chewy, but it eventually goes somewhere. Like sometimes things are too chewy and they don't go anywhere. This eventually breaks down, but the process of it breaking down is weird.
Like a gummy worm?
I'm not gonna be able to eat gummy worms anymore because I'm just gonna think they're livers. They're sweet livers. All in all, the raspberries are amazing. and the onions, the sweet onions, worth it. I should have fried these. These were great. I need a whole bunch of these. Would I ever eat liver again? Probably not. I don't have any ethical, moral issue eating livers of a beef cow because he was getting butchered for other reasons, so it's not being wasteful. And I'm gonna eat this because I cooked it. I think maybe 2. The breading on it, should have put more breading. Should have dredged it more.
Probably.
Should have dredged it more. Should have let it marinate in that gravy, and maybe that would have helped.
Probably should have had a little bit more butter too.
In hindsight, I was like, why would we need more butter? It looks buttery enough, but...
There can never be too much butter.
I think the butter would have helped it, but I'm glad I tried it, and I learned how to cut an onion into rings today, so I consider that a win. And now I know, I feel like a lot of old people like livers. Old people, we were talking about our dad liking livers. I feel like the old generation...
He prefers the deep fried chicken livers.
I know. I feel like maybe since these are kind of the cheaper cuts of meat because they're not really even a cut of meat, they're an organ. And so they're like, you gotta do something with this liver. So they're pretty cheap. So I feel like back in our parents' time or even before then, like Depression era, they're like, what can we afford that's cheap to eat? Well, we'll just have these livers and fry them up and eat them with onions because onions are cheap. And that's what they did. And kudos to them. Kudos to them, but I would rather have a filet, so.
I prefer brisket.
Brisket's really good. Actually, brisket is good. Ooh, we don't have questions this week to answer, although there hopefully will be questions next week, but without spoiling anything, I bet a dragon brisket would be absolutely amazing. So if we get to that damn dragon by the end of the season, we can make some brisket out of it. I'd be really excited. I was trying to think what we could do instead of a substitute for dragon. The only thing I could think of is alligator, if we find gator tail. I don't know where we would find that at, but...
That's gonna have to be ordered online.
Probably. We'll see about that. We got time. We got time to think about that. I don't know if there's like a store nearby that would sell it. I don't know. Not locally for us, but... Anyway, I'm glad I made this. It's super easy to make, so I feel like anybody can do it. But if you are being experimental, don't get more than half a pound. That's for dang sure. Or get yourself a teeny little bit. I feel like most gas stations in our area even just sell fried liver, and you just get like a little tiny piece of it. But if you want to try it yourself. Anyway, I'm excited for next week's episode of Dungeon Meshi. I hope you all are too, but in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll see you next time for more Delicious in Dungeon. Bye!